Rolling. All right, we rolling. All right, here we go. Wait. Yeah. What's up, everybody? What up? It's your boy B, and this is the second installment of this series. I'm calling it "The Power of Space," and I am glad that you all are here to join me on this Wednesday. I hope you've had a great Wednesday, and I hope it's been fruitful. I hope it's been exciting. I hope it's been a day where you can reflect on it and you can look back and have done something well today. I talked to a lot of people who watched the last video. Thank you for that. Introducing the power of space and how space can help us, how space can be positive, how space can help us in our lives, our daily lives, um, our journey through life, how we can create great space, and how space can also adversely affect us. We're gonna talk about all that, man, and it's gonna be a series of a couple weeks, and hopefully you all can gain some great knowledge, and you all can take something away from it, because that's all this is, man. I want to be able to help someone benefit from capitalizing on how they can create their own personal space and use it for their advantage. Okay. I got the notion to talk about this because of something simple, as a matter of fact. I was out in the yard with my son, and we were uh, out in the yard, and he was dribbling a basketball, and he's working on his handles and everything like that, and he's gotten a lot better over the last few months. And he was telling me about how he was going to be able to get around defenders and shoot the ball, and I was like, well, um, that's all good, but you still have to create space in order to get your shot up. And when I said that and I explained to him, kind of like I gave him the example of James Harden, how he does this step back, and that creates space so that he can shoot the ball, so that the defender is reaching for the ball, and instead of blocking it, James Harden has enough room to get off his 3 pointer. Or Steph Curry, when he does his jab step, and he jab step, and the defender moves one way, and he comes back, and he shoots that three. He's got room to do that, but he wouldn't be able to do that if he did not create the space uh, required to get the shot off. So that's what we're talking about right now. We're just talking about space and how space is important in our lives, and creating space can be a wonderful thing. I've been on both ends of the spectrum. I've been on the end where space has readily helped me. I've had enough space. I wasn't crowded. But then I've been on the other end where I've had a whole lot of people in my space and things in my space, and I didn't have a lot of room to maneuver. And that is physically, mentally, and spiritually. Okay, so well, I'm not just talking about you in the physical realm. I'm talking about all around, even psychologically. You know what I'm saying? We can get crowded psychologically as well. There are a lot of things, especially what's going on now with the pandemic. People are anxious, and they are feeling feelings that they've never felt before, and it's valid. It really is valid, and I'm not knocking that, because there are lots of people out there who are going through um, psychological issues because maybe they have been laid off, or maybe they've got a family member whose health isn't good, or they might be sick themselves. And so uh, we want to talk about all that, because all those things are important, and those things are real. Okay. We want to address those things, and we will probably do that later on in the series. But I want you to make sure that if you miss any part of the video, that you go to my website at www.inspirationalflowstudios.com, and you can check out each video. I'm going to put up the video, go to the website and then click on the motivation and inspiration link, and you can check out each video as they come on. And I really want you to be able to go and look at these videos, and hopefully you will be able to get some great information. You can also go on my YouTube channel, Inspirational Flow. I have those posted there as well. And of course, the Instagram Live will be available for 24 hours. So if you miss it now, you can either go to the website, my YouTube channel, or check it out on IG for the next 24 hours. All right. Once again, I got to say what's up to everybody. I wish I could get Jill Scott and Erica Badu numbers. By the way, that was absolutely amazing. They were on for several hours, you know what I'm saying, just playing a lot of the music that we know and that we love, and it was just incredible. And so big ups to them. I think they got more than a million hits. You know what I'm saying? They had, when I was watching one time, they had at least 750,000 people watching at the same time. It was absolutely amazing. I know I probably won't get Erica Badu and Jill Scott numbers, but it's all to the good. Uh, by the grace of God, he will direct people to the video. Whoever watches it is supposed to get this information. You know what I'm saying? And so I just want to do my best to be able to do that. Okay, so tonight in this second episode, what we're going to talk about is why we should create space and how to create your own space. Okay, those two things are very important. How to create space and why we should even create personal space. All right, personal space is very, very important. Um, I have learned the older that I get, the more personal space is important to me, and also to other folks. My age. It's it's pretty well known, when you're younger, and for me, I can talk about me. I used to party all the time, and I would have, people all around me. I love to be around people. Most folks that I know that know me know that I'm a DJ, and I thrived off of seeing 1,000 people, 1,500 people in the spot, and everybody's grooving, everybody's moving, doing their own thing, and the more people that were there, the more fuel that I got on my fire. And a lot of times I thought that made me spin better when I had those many people in the spot dancing, and what I'm saying, mingling, and all of that, and then what goes with that lifestyle. And I quickly learned a lot of things about having a lot of people around. And I've seen stories about people who have, gangs of people all around all the time. You know what I'm saying? The advantages and the pitfalls, and I fell into that too. So I am not a stranger to both sides of the coin. Okay, and now in my journey, in my walk of life right now, I really, really cherish my personal space. I respect my family's personal space, and I respect everybody's personal space that I'm around. You know what I'm saying? I totally understand. Some people don't want people around all the time, and I'm here to tell you that that's okay. It is okay to want your own space. And that will segue me into my first point, is that one of the rules that deals with space, and some people may not know this, but I'm going to tell you, is that you own your own space. Okay, did you know that you own your own personal space? All right, now however you choose to divvy that out is up to you, but you own your space. Okay, you may have a spouse and 3 kids, and pets and everything like that, but when it comes down to it, You have the right to be able to dictate what your personal space looks like. All right. Um, that is something that I'm learning. I'm still learning that. Okay. And I want you to be able to know that your space is yours. Nobody else owns your personal space but you. Okay. I understand a lot of people are in relationships and you share space and all of that, but you dictate what your space looks like. Okay, I just want you to get that into your head, because there are folks out there who believe that because they're with somebody or they have obligations that they aren't entitled to personal space, but you are. Okay, now sometimes you have to slice the pie up to where maybe that your space and your time is a designated time. For instance, if going to the gym is something that helps you to clear your mind, or that's the time that you get to be on your own and you can clear your head and have your own thoughts and think things through, then you have to make sure that you slice that pie out, that you designate that time. If it's early in the morning, I know cats that will wake up, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and they hit the gym for an hour and a half before they go to work. And that's their routine. That is their personal time to be able to decompress, to go through their own thoughts for the day before they get started. Or it could be at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? After you download with your loved ones, your spouse, your significant other, your partner, you know what I'm saying? You have that time with the children, you put them to bed, and it may be, an hour where you maybe want to watch a show that you're trying to catch up on. That might be your personal time. And so it's okay to carve that time out so that you have it for yourself. All right, it's important that you don't give all your time up. You need to be able to love on yourself for a little bit. Okay, you need to be able to have that personal time for your own self, no matter how many people you interact with. I know that pastors have a really, really big challenge when it comes to creating personal space. For one, they are always caring for other folks. They're checking on other people. They're calling other people. They're visiting. They're making sure that things get done for their church. But it is also important to make sure that things are getting done for you too. All right. You got to do things like eat well. This is for everybody. Eat well. Try to get a little bit of exercise in. You know what I'm saying? Do something that you enjoy. All right. And it may not be daily. I'm not telling you that it's going to be daily, but there needs to be some time where you say to yourself, hey, I need to read a book. I need to catch up on a book. There's a movie that I've wanted to watch for a while. Let me sit down and watch this movie. You know what I'm saying? And even if your significant other wants to watch it with you, that's cool. Your kids watch it with you, that's fine. But you need to have some time where you can just let it all hang out. Like I said, you can decompress. We can have some quiet time for yourself. If you choose to meditate, you can do that as well. Pray, read the word. There are a multitude of things that you can do to make sure that you get that personal time that you need. All right, let's see here. Why is space important? Why is your space important? Why do you think your space is important? Let me just give you a second to think about that. Why do you think that having your own space is important? Well, I'll give you a few examples. And let me just go ahead and tell you, I'm not an expert. I'm not a psychologist, but what I am is somebody who has gone through the gauntlet of having personal space and knowing what it feels like to not have it and burn out. Okay. When you don't have space for yourself and you are constantly moving, you're going, and you don't have time to create space for yourself, burnout comes very quickly. All right. Burnout will come out of nowhere when you don't think that it's coming, when you are, taking care of this, and you know what I'm saying, you're doing this, and you're making sure that this person is taken care of, and you're making sure that that thing is taken care of, and you want to put this in motion. When you don't breathe, when you are burning the candle at both ends, burnout comes really, really fast. And I'm telling you, it can be fatal in some instances. All right. That stress can get on your back so quickly, and you'll never know where it came from. So it's important because, like I said, it's yours and you own your space, and it will release you to create. All right. There are a lot of people who want to get projects done, and they want to do this and that. And the COVID-19 situation has really, really opened up a lot of folks' eyes as far as creating things, doing things that they have been putting off for a long, long time. And it's because you have that time now. All right. That time has been created. Even though you may not have created it, it's been created so that now you can look and see, well, all right, I need to do this. I can do this now. I have this time to be able to put a plan together to create this business that I want to do, or finish this project that I have been wanting to do for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Or anything like that. All right. So creating space will release that energy so that you can create time to do what it is that you want to do. All right. It's difficult sometimes. I'm telling you, it's difficult to create time. But if you want to not be stressed out all the time, if you don't want to feel like that boulder is on your back all the time, that you're not, carrying that thing on your shoulder every day, then you've got to sit down and create some time for yourself. Okay. It's very important. Your space will also help you see things more clearly. All right. If you, it's tough to drive in a fog. All right. It's very tough to drive while the fog is thick and while the fog is right there on your windshield, and you're not sure how far ahead a bump might be. But I'm telling you, when you sit down and you create your own personal space, that fog sometimes is lifted and you can see a little bit further down the line, and you can be able to know, okay, well, I've got, this amount of time to finish this thing, or wow, I can see the things that I need to do now. So let me go ahead and get started. So, your space is important because it'll help you to see more clearly. Clarity is very important, and especially as an adult. All right. Because sometimes that road is not clear all the time. And if everything is surrounding you and you don't have time to even turn your head or keep your head on a swivel, it gets very difficult to navigate. But if you plan to have your own personal space, sometimes, that hour in the evening or that hour or two on the weekend, it will mean so much as far as seeing clearly to attain a goal that you want to attain, or get to a point where, maybe you thought you couldn't get to, but that's because you couldn't see it. All right. But if you calm down, I guarantee you calm down and you make time for yourself, I guarantee you can see some things a lot more clearly. All right. Why is space important? Space is important because clutter is messy. All right. I I have a guilty pleasure, and that's watching a TV show called Hoarders. I watch Hoarders all the time, and it's not because I'm trying to make fun of the folks who are hoarders, because I do understand that that is uh, a mental disease. Like that's something that is created from mental trauma, things that happen in people's lives. I think my thing, I just watch it because it's interesting to see the why. Why folks went that route, or why they decided that hoarding things was so important. Uh, but if you watch that show and you see the clutter, some of these people can't even walk in their own homes. All right. They can't even walk to the bathroom. They don't have space to sleep because there's stuff on their beds. in their room. They can't cook in the kitchen because there's stuff on the table. There are things on the stove. There are lots of unnecessary things that could probably be thrown away, but they don't throw away. So, creating personal space will also move clutter out of the way. All right. We all do, spring cleaning, fall cleaning, and we all find those things that we don't need. We find those things that we probably can do without. So we put it all in boxes and bags and we throw it away and we, take it to the trash dumpster and we forget about it. And then we feel better because now in our homes we have more space. We have it's cleaner. All right, it smells better, it feels better. And so you can do that in your own life too. Okay, you can clean up the clutter so that it feels better to you. All right, it looks nicer. All right, you got more room to maneuver. You know what I mean? It's bad when you're in a space and you feel like you just are here. And I'm not claustrophobic. I know folks who are claustrophobic, and I can imagine that that's just not a good feeling where you feel like everything's closing in on you and you don't have any control over how you feel in that space. But if you get into a wide open field, a claustrophobic probably feels like the best person in the world because there's nothing around them to constrict them. You got to do that to your mind too. All right, you got to remove things that restrict your mind from doing things that you set out to do. You have to remove things out of your mind that cause negativity. That's also clutter. Things like that. The things that you can remove, I'm telling you, is beneficial for you to take those things out, put them in boxes and bags, take them to the trash, throw them away. You don't need those things. All right. Of course, you take inventory and you keep the things that are valuable. You keep the things that are necessary. But those things that it's kind of like apps on your phone. You download apps and you use it for a little while, and then you scroll through your apps a couple months later, and you're like, oh, I don't really need this app, so you delete it because you're not using it. It's kind of like subscriptions that you have, whether it's to magazines or whatever it is in your life, and you get these things in the mail, and it's like, I don't read these magazines. Why do I even need to keep getting the magazines? And first of all, you get the magazine and you don't have anywhere to put it, or you don't know where to put it, so you just throw it anywhere, and then that becomes what? Clutter. Get the clutter out of the way so that you can feel better about the things that you need to do, as opposed to it just sitting there on the shelf, getting dusty, and not being productive in your own life. Okay. So let's talk about ways that we can create our own space. All right. Ways we can create more space in our lives. Kind of talked about it a little bit a couple minutes ago. Eliminate the unnecessary. All right. Take out those things that you don't need, remove them. And sometimes, there are things that you still need, but you're not using it right now. So like put them up. All right. Put them in a place where you know where they are, but they're not in your way. And then when you need it again, take it back out. All right. Bring it back out so you can use it. And then when you're done using it, move it out of the way. All right. Those things that you don't need, take them out. All right. Get rid of them. It's important to get rid of those things. All right. Prune what you don't need so that new growth can flourish. My wife does a lot of gardening, and she does a lot of things in the yard, and she'll ask me to prune trees and prune bushes. And when we first got together, she would ask me to cut a bush, and I'm talking about, man, cut it all the way down, almost dead. And she would say, Brian, you can't cut down the whole thing. You gotta, leave some so that we can get some new growth. You can't just cut down the whole thing and then it dies, because that's what'll happen. You cut it down too much, it'll die. I don't want the bush to die. I want it to live. I just want to cut off the dead parts. All right. So, what are some dead parts in your life that you can prune, that you can cut, that you can get rid of? And unfortunately, a lot of times in our lives, um, when we prune, it's pruning of people, unfortunately. You may have, your friends who have been with you for however long, or you have friends that, you just met, and, they might hang on to you, and, you know, they might they might unintentionally drag you down for whatever reason. Maybe it might be emotional. Um, it could be them, for instance, ask you for money all the time. You know what I'm saying? And that can weigh down on you. And if you have a chance to prune or cut those folks, then it's probably a good idea to. Now, I'm not saying be rude. I'm not saying, be a jerk, but there are tactful ways to say, hey, look, I, I can't, I can't do this anymore. You know what I'm saying? I'm not bad. We can be cool, but I can't lend you any more money. You know what I'm saying? And so it'll be that person's choice to stay or go. But prune those things that you don't need. Okay. Um, let's see. Ooh, here's a good one. All right. Unplug. Unplug. That will create space. All right. Have you ever seen an outlet and it's just got the two prongs, and you see two things plugged into it, and it looks really nice and neat. But on the other end, have you ever seen a plug that's got, you got one plug that's got a, 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 power surge with six other things, and then the other one has another power surge with six plugs, and each of those plugs is plugged up, and then you got an extension cord and all that. That's how that's how houses burn down. Listen to me now. That's how things burn down. That's how things get destroyed. You're plugging in too much, too much power. Too much power is getting taken, and then you stress out that outlet, and then all of a sudden it just blows up. All right, so unplug. All right, distance yourself from some stuff sometimes. I'm not saying stay away, but get away sometimes. Okay. For instance, I'm gonna give you some things that we can unplug from, and I try and do it. I'm not I'm not perfect at it, and it takes some practice to be able to do. Okay, so the first thing that I'll say to unplug from is work. Okay, um, you know, most of us have uh, jobs that we go through. Either you work first, second, or third shift, or whatever shift, 2 to 10, or however you work. Some folks work 12s, and that's fine. Whatever your shift is, that's cool, but you need to take some time away from that. Um, if being out in the yard is your thing, if going to the gym, if playing sports is your thing, if um, I don't know, you might like to sew or crochet or whatever. Hey, whatever it is that you do, that you enjoy, do that and take yourself away from the job for a minute. And I know sometimes it's hard. It's hard for me because um, I work in healthcare, and so does my wife, and we work at the same place. And a lot of times when we get home, we carry over conversations that, about events that have happened at work. You know what I'm saying? So we're consumed with it. And sometimes that can be dangerous. If you're talking about work all the time, all the time, all the time, and you don't get a break, sometimes that will weigh down on you mentally. And so you want to guard against that. Your children. I know you love your kids. I know you love your children. I love my son to death, and I love hanging out with him. But after he goes to bed, I enjoy that time that is mine. Okay. It's difficult to unplug from your children, especially when you work and you get home, and then all they want is mom, or all they want is dad, and they want to play, and they want to be all up on you, and that's cool. Hey, I mean, do that, man. Love on your kids as much as you can, especially in this day and age. Love on your kids because they need love, and they need to know that they are loved. But when they go to sleep, or when they get put down, or hey, sometimes if you work a weird shift and they go off to school, sometimes that can be your downtime. All right, relish that. All right, make sure that you enjoy that time off, that you spend that time doing something that you like to do. This one might get me because it's gonna get some of y'all, but some of you all need to unplug from church for a while. Hmm. Uh, I am somebody who um, has been in the church and worked in the church and have done any and everything I could to make sure that I did my part to make whatever it was that was my responsibility successful. And I was kind of like a gym rat sometimes. I was always at the church doing this and that and the other, and it took away my personal time because I was always doing something that someone at the church was asking me to do, and I never ever took the time to rest away from church. And I know it's difficult sometimes. I know it's difficult because you want to serve, you want to do what's right, you want to do right by people. If you're pastor or assistant pastor or a head of an auxiliary, they ask you to do something, you definitely don't want to let them down. And I'm not saying not do it, but there is a point that comes that you ought to say, let me step back for a second. All right. Let me let somebody else handle it. Let me let somebody else um, run this program or run this event this time. All right. I'll help, but I need to kind of hang back for a minute. All right. I've been doing a lot. So just let me, and you don't have to, you might have to go to the head of the auxiliary or the pastor or whoever and just explain to them, hey, I need a little bit of space. So I want such and such to handle this event or to lead this event. And if you do it respectfully, and I've done it, there shouldn't be any problems. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because everybody has to have that time where they can breathe, where they can take that sigh of relief, or woosah, as we like to say. That's a Bad Boys reference if y'all don't know. But yeah, you got to take that time to step back for a little bit. This is the one that's going to be the hardest for a lot of people. Um, in this day and age, technology is king. And I know a lot of people that consume social media like they consume food. And if you don't if you don't push yourself away from the table, if you don't turn your plate over and you keep eating, you gain weight. And that's the same thing with social media. You consume it, consume it, consume it. It starts to overtake you. All right. And you get filled with that. And, you start to depend on how many people like your posts or how many people watch your video or how many people respond to what it is that you have to say or how many people get riled up about what it is that your opinion is. And if you consume those things all the time, then it starts to bother you. I've seen that happened to me a while ago. And, I have, since, gotten off of Facebook, and I recently rejoined Instagram Live because at points, I was looking for validation through social media. I was looking for the likes. I was looking for the hearts. I was looking for somebody to say, hey, I like that, or that was cool what you said, or that was dope. I like how you put that. Like I was needing that, or I was wanting to look at a certain situation that was happening, and I was getting mad at how people were thinking about a certain topic, and I wanted to fire back, and I wanted people to fire back at me, and we going tit for tat and jab for jab, and when you do that, man, that starts to consume you, and then it starts to walk into other parts of your life. You start getting angry. You start, what I'm saying, holding it against people that holding it that the people that you love, holding it against people that even live in your house. You know what I'm saying? I don't know whether you ever heard the phrase "don't kick the cat." And what that means is that, people are angry and then they damage the cat when the cat didn't do anything to you. You're just angry. You got it balled up. And sometimes that's what social media does. And social media can also, break apart relationships. It can further distance you from your family. I was at dinner one time with my family, and I was looking at a table, and there was a mother, father, and two kids, and they were all on their phones. It was silent. None of them were speaking to one another. They all had phones, and they were all on their phones. They were either texting or whatever they were doing, but they were not interacting with each other at the dinner table at a restaurant. Okay. I never thought that I would see stuff like that, but I have. And sometimes it's sad to watch. And I just want you to be aware of how much social media you're consuming so that you don't take in so much all the time. All right. You gotta take a break. You gotta rest. You gotta create that space in between you and social media that says, okay, I'm not going to be on social media for from 8 o'clock until I go to bed. You know what I'm saying? Carve out some time specifically for you to be on social media. I think that's important. I think that's important for the family. I think that's important for a lot of relationships, not just spousal relationships, but also family unit relationships. You know what I'm saying? It's important for I'm not sure what the word I'm trying to say is, but being communicative, all right, with each other. You know what I'm saying? Like there are people who don't even know how to interact with somebody that's right in front of them because all they do is text or all they do is type or they respond through social media, and then having a face-to-face conversation is like them speaking German to you. You know what I'm saying? They don't know how to make eye contact. They don't know how to form full sentences. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It's crazy, man. Technology has made things so easy, but then it's also made things so difficult. So unplug from social media for a while. All right. And the last one, ways to create space for yourself. Learn how to say the word no. All right. Learning how to say no is very important in creating space for yourself. For instance, if you have somebody, and it could be a friend, it could be an associate, could be a family member who is always asking you for money, and you give it to them, whether it's $10 or $20 or $50 or how many ever dollars you decide that you're gonna give them. When they say no, I mean when you say no, um, that will give them a whole different perspective. Like, oh, well, wait a minute. This is different. You never said no before when I've asked you for a few dollars. Well, I'm saying no now, and so that will create a dynamic that says, all right, we're gonna stop this right here. All right, we're gonna make this. We're gonna create this barrier. We're gonna create this thing in between right here. I'm drawing the line in the sand. Okay, so I'm saying no. You might have to start saying no in your relationships. That's very, very difficult. All right, if you are, if you're talking to your spouse or your partner, and they ask you something and you agree to it, not because you want to do it, but because you don't want to either disappoint them, or you don't want what comes after the no, or you feel obligated to say yes. Those things can have you to hold grudges, or it creates animosity. But if you say no and you're honest about it, then there's a different dynamic that can be drawn out of that. All right. And like I said earlier, when you say no, you don't have to be a jerk. It don't have to be stern. It can be, in a nice way. If they ask you if you want to do something, if you don't want to do it, then say so. All right. Learn how to say no. Like, it's okay. All right. If my wife wants to go to the movies and she says, hey, Brian, do you want to go to the movies? If I want to go, I'll say yes. But if I don't want to go, I'll say no. And it's not because uh it's a slight on her or anything like that. It's because I don't want to go. All right. And yes, in relationships, we make sacrifices. We do things that we don't want to do. I get that part, you know what I'm saying? But there are some times where you do have to stand up for yourself, and saying no sometimes is standing up for yourself, because if you keep saying yes and you continue to say yes all the time, that other person will feel like, well, I can just ask them anything, they're gonna say yes anyway, so I'm just gonna ask them and then they'll do whatever I want. um, and it shouldn't be that way, for men and for women. It should not be, that dynamic should not be created. All right. Everyone's space should be respected. And hey, saying no is hard sometimes, but I believe that it is necessary in order to create that space for yourself, create those boundaries, that say, okay, well, maybe I need to lay off for a minute. Maybe I need to learn how to hear the word no. And let me tell you something about the word no. It works positively in both ways. All right. Um, and if I'm asking someone, okay, um, let's just say I'm asking my guy, hey yo, you want to go to this seminar that I heard about, man. I heard it was dope, good speaker, whatever. And if he says no, you know what I'm not going to do? I'm not going to keep asking him. All right. If you ask someone a question and it's voluntary and they say no, accept the answer, keep it pushing. All right. You don't have to force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. On the converse, if somebody asks you something and you say no, then let that be the answer. All right. Don't let them badger you and asking you 4 and 5 times and you say no 4 and 5 times. And then you get in your head, well, man, they're just going to keep asking me. So I might as well just say yes. And so when you say yes, you don't want to do the thing anyway because you've already said that you don't. So don't make it a habit of letting other people badger you into saying yes, or them giving you an answer that they want you to say and not the answer that you really, really want to give. All right. Because that causes hurt. That causes anguish. That causes animosity between you and that other person. Because if they keep asking you and you allow them to keep asking you and you say yes, then you begrudgingly do the thing that you have been asked to do. And I know for me, I don't want to be pressured into doing something that I don't want to do, especially if it's voluntary. All right. If it's not something that I have to do and I don't want to do it, and I tell you that I don't want to do it, I would hope that you would respect that I'm saying no. And it's not out of me spiting you. It's because that's just the choice that I decided to make. Okay. And you have that right. You have that right to say no. And like I said earlier, though, when you are in a relationship, you make sacrifices, and I understand that. You know what I mean? But don't make that a habit of letting people run over you, because when you do that, they invade your personal space. All right. They are invading your right to be who you are. And you have every right to be who you are. All right. I don't want you to be anybody but that. You are somebody special. You're very powerful, and you own your personal space. All right. You are the sole owner of the space that you create. Okay. So if you don't remember anything that I've said, I want you to remember that you own your own personal space. All right. So, you know what? Thank you all for watching. You all can check out this video on my YouTube page, Inspirational Flow. You can also go to my website. If you missed any of the video, you can go to my website at www.inspirationalflowstudios.com. Check out the video. Every video that I put on Instagram Live, you'll be able to see it on my website the next day. So make sure that you check it out. You go to the website and you click on the motivation and inspiration link. Share it with somebody that you think might need it. All right. We all need to learn how to create personal space, because some people don't know how to do that. Some people think that if they feel crowded, or if they feel like they're closed in, that they don't have a way to fight. They don't have a way to get out of it. What I'm telling you, you do. All right. All you got to do is just speak up. Now you got to open your mouth and say, hey, this is my space. I need to breathe. All right. I don't need, X amount of people in my space. I need to be able to breathe. I want to be able to enjoy life without having to be crowded all the time. Yes, there are times in your life where you will be crowded, where you will feel like, all the walls are closing in. But there are some times where, like I said earlier, you have the right to feel like you're in an open field. You don't have anything constricting you or bothering you or hindering you. So I want you to be able to get to that point as well, where you feel like you can just be free, at some points, free from work, free from church, free from your kids, free from social media. Learn how to say no. That will create space for you as well. All right. So, um, once again, man, thank you for joining me, man. I know I didn't get the Jill Scott numbers, the Erykah Badu numbers that I wanted, but big ups to everybody that joined me on IG Live and that will watch this video later on. I really appreciate it. I know this ran about 45 minutes, but I think this is great information, and hopefully the next video I'll cut it down to maybe about 30 minutes. But I want you to be able to learn some things that I've learned about being able to create personal space. Okay, so like I said, go to the website www.inspirationalflowstudios.com. You can email me at inspirationalflowstudios@gmail.com. Holla at me. Let me know what you think. Next week, we will talk about the positive aspects of creating your own personal space. Okay, so if you have questions, I want you to come with them next week, because we're going to open up the dialogue so that you all can ask me questions as well. So until next week, next Wednesday at 8 p.m., I'm going to holler at you guys. Y'all have a great week. God bless you, and we'll see you. Don't forget to go to the website, inspirationalflowstudios.com. Check out the rest of the videos. All right, y'all have a great week. Peace.